One of the best and most shocking moments happened when Sebastian killed his uncle with the killing curse. What happened that a 15-year-old child casted an unforgivable on his own uncle, and the only guardian alive? What pushed him so hard? Was it all just a mistake? Was it taken over by dark magic? Did Sebastian always want to kill his uncle? Well, before coming to any conclusions, we need to see what happened with these characters, and even more importantly, how it happened. We'll begin with Sebastian himself. First time we ever meet Sebastian is in the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, in a very lively duel in fact. And even after losing, we don't see that smug behavior of you were just lucky or I'll get you next time. He kind of acknowledges us for winning. That does show the kind of maturity he has for his young age of 15 years. After that interaction, next time we see him is in our trip to the Hogsmeade. That's if you choose him as your traveling companion. There he tells us he also has a twin sister, Anne, and she is sick and hence couldn't come to Hogwarts right now. He does hold back on the details a bit, but granted this was only our second meet, I would hold back the details as well. But you shouldn't hold back on hitting that subscribe button. Help me reach 1,000 subscribers, please. Now in a quest where we have to sneak into the restricted section of library, we do get to know two very important things about Sebastian and his motivations. One, as most of you know, his sister is not sick, she was cursed. Second, he's trying to find cure for her and thinks everyone else has given up. And after getting caught, we also get to see that he's man of his word, when he didn't sell us out and took all the blame upon himself. Although some people might see this.
How do I know you won't go to the librarian and blame this all on me?
Why would I do that? I like having friends who are in my debt.
And say that's the type of guy who would help only if it's gonna help him in the future. But I think he just wanted to sound cool. Remember, he's 15 years old? And I know I'm emphasizing the 15-year-old thing a bit too much, but we'll get to that as well. The next big event happened in Sebastian's story is when we go to the Feldcroft. We go there on Sebastian's request to meet his sister Anne. Sebastian was hoping a face from Hogwarts might cheer up Anne, but in contrast to that, the trip kind of turned out to be a disaster. Because when Sebastian was trying to give Anne the Shrivelfig, hoping that it would cure her, his uncle Solomon takes it away and destroys it. And that causes a very loud argument between Sebastian and his uncle. We do get to know that this wasn't the first time Sebastian had brought something to Anne thinking it would help. Because all the conventional ways like doctors and healers and everything was used up. But the uncle isn't happy about Sebastian doing it. Why? We'll come to his uncle's character later as well, as we do need to know his side in all of this. Further down the same quest, we go and visit the Rookwood Castle, the place where Anne got cursed. One day there was a huge fire at Rookwood Castle. Anne rushes out to see if anyone was injured or needed help, and there, she got cursed. Sebastian thinks it was a dark magic used by a goblin that cursed her. But he's wrong. And at the end of the video, I will tell you who actually cursed Anne, and no, it's not any goblin. If you don't know the answer, it might surprise you and show you how all the hints and details had been laid very carefully. Now they're not the hints. One day upon meeting up with Sebastian, he tells us how there is an actual scriptorium of Salazar Slytherin himself in Hogwarts Castle. I would have skipped this part in the video, but the events that happen in this quest act like a catalyst to Sebastian's next actions. In the scriptorium, we find a book written by Salazar Slytherin himself. If you don't know Salazar Slytherin, he's one of the founding members of Hogwarts. So the book we find, it could be a spell book, journal, or a book to stash all the important things. Whatever it is, Sebastian do what Sebastian does. He starts reading it in hopes to find anything that'll help Anne. Well, he does find something. He reads a student's report that was kept by Salazar Slytherin in the book. In that report, he finds a relic that is hidden within a catacomb. Upon investigating the catacombs, we find that the relic could reverse the dark magic and, so to speak, Anne's curse as well. But a huge cost shall be paid in return. To tell this news to Anne, we immediately move towards Feldcroft, and by the time we reach there, we see that it is under attack by Ranrock's loyalists. Probably after hearing all the commotion, Anne rushes out to see what's happening. But this time, she's weak. She's cursed, and because of the pain of the curse, she just crouches down holding her stomach. But at that same moment, a goblin arrives. With no one around, that goblin would have killed Anne. But right at the last moment, Sebastian shows up and casts an unforgivable on the goblin, Imperious Curse, and makes the goblin cut itself. The Imperious Curse makes the victim do whatever the caster wants him to do. It's like a mind control spell, and you gotta have a very clear intention when casting Unforgivables. So Sebastian had a very clear intention when it commanded the goblin to cut itself. Just saying, which 15-year-old has these kind of things going on in his head? But I also agree with the fact that if not for Sebastian, Anne would have died and other spells might not have been the best option, so it's an open debate. You see, the Sebastian thought the reason Anne got cursed were goblins, and hence he had started resenting goblin kind. For him, it was a simple case of if it's a goblin, then it's evil. Plain and simple as that. And by the way, this Anne girl, first she rushes out to see what's happening at Rookwood Castle and gets cursed. Now she's fucking cursed. And still rushes out to see what's happening, getting almost killed. Somebody tie this girl down to the chair or something, please. I mean, aren't you supposed to be weak or something? Anyways, after the goblin slits itself open, the uncle arrives. And the first thing that comes out of his mouth is not how relieved he is that Anne is okay. No. But instead, he decides to go at Sebastian and tell him how wrong he was using the unforgivable curse. What's going on in Solomon's mind that scolding Sebastian on the use of unforgivables comes before anything else? Solomon was an ex-Auror. While in his time as an Auror, you could say that he was kind of like Sebastian. Let me explain. Solomon was a believer that to fight dark magic, everyone should know and use dark magic. That they should fight fire with fire. He wasn't a conventional thinker like Sebastian is, but ministry and people, probably his friends and colleagues, didn't agree with him and disapproved of his ways. Well, as a middle-aged man, Solomon was having tough time at job because of different ways of thinking, different opinions and everything. This could cause anyone to build frustration. Although we exactly don't know what happened, but in his time as an Auror, something happened that must have broken Solomon, made him take retirement, something related to dark magic. Because only that would explain his actions and intentions when he tries to stop Sebastian from using dark magic time to time. Something happened to him, for which Solomon still feels guilty about, and he doesn't want Sebastian to go through and suffer the same consequences that he has first-hand experience of. He doesn't want Sebastian to go to the same path of demise he once walked. That would explain his anger towards Sebastian when Sebastian very naively and recklessly uses dark magic to find cure for Anne, disregarding any consequences. Yep, Sebastian is naive. He's 15, remember? In case you missed. I won't let you miss hitting the subscribe button, please. I wanna reach 1,000 subs. That's gonna be like my first milestone, so help me out with that, please, come on. That naivety and recklessness Sebastian shows and disregard for any and all consequences, well, one more character shares the same traits. Isadora Morganark. I've made a video on her, be sure to check that out after this video. Link is in the description. Anyways, Solomon probably feels frustrated. To that frustration, add remorse of some sort. To that, add seeing someone die. He's an Auror, so whether he likes it or not, watching someone die, it's part of his job. To that, add sudden news of his brother passing away. To that, add sudden responsibility of 2 children. The list could go on. Point is, all these events shape the character we see as Solomon. Harsh, strict, angry, maybe even depressed, and also probably misses his late brother. When it comes to Anne, he does say he has tried everything, from Nurse Blaney to the healers of St. Mungo, and even after that they couldn't find cure for Anne. So seemingly after exhausting all the possible non-threatening and non-consequential ways, and knowing that Anne may probably never be cured, he just want to keep Anne comfortable. Maybe not the happy the way she is, but comfortable the way she is. And when Sebastian works recklessly, Sebastian reminds Solomon of his brother. We could only assume that the recklessness of the brother was once the topic of a lot of worries and maybe sometimes even few laughs. Those same memories are now coming back as the sad reminders of the death of same brother because of reckless actions of Sebastian. Add all the things we just talked about and tell me Solomon's anger towards Sebastian isn't justified. At least a little bit. All of this is happening because Anne got cursed, right? So it only makes sense to have her own analysis part in all of this, right? We don't get to know much about Anne. We only hear bits and pieces about her story. Well, she's Sebastian's twin sister. When her and Sebastian were just kids, one day they heard a big crash. They ran downstairs to see what happened. To their surprise, their parents had crumpled down to the floor. There was an undetectable toxin that had filled the room. Sebastian and Anne couldn't help because they hadn't found their magical abilities yet. They were literally helpless. And that tells us a bit about Anne. Why she longs to help people in need. She saw how her parents died and couldn't do anything to help them, and hence now she wants to help everyone she can. Well, she also carried recklessness from her father. So what exactly happened? A 15-year-old boy whose parents died when he was just a kid. The only family he's got left is his sister. He also had Solomon, but and that sister's life is on the line because she got cursed. Everyone, including his own uncle, has given up on finding the cure. Yes, his uncle has his own reasons because he thinks it's futile to keep trying and cruel to keep on giving Anne hope. But Sebastian couldn't sit and watch his only family die. He's been through that before, and if there's any chance he can change that, even slightest, even if he has to walk the most unconventional path, he's gonna do it. And the last thing he would want is someone stopping him from doing that, especially his own uncle. For Sebastian, his uncle should understand what he's going through, and his uncle does. But when it comes to supporting Sebastian, that isn't the case right here. With seemingly impossible curse to reverse, he was giving his everything researching for the cure, but he keeps getting resistance from his uncle when he disregards anything Sebastian does and lashes back at him for even trying. If you could step into the mind of a 15-year-old, you could imagine Sebastian wanting his uncle dead, how it would be better and everything. He may not mean it, but he wants him dead. But for the one last time, when his uncle destroys the relic that possibly could have reversed the curse, Sebastian loses it and casts the killing curse on his uncle. Now again, he was wishing his uncle was dead, and when casting the curse, he was angry at his uncle for destroying the relic, and rightfully so. But when he casted the unforgivable, he killed his uncle and only guardian alive, and the only person who was taking care of Anne. By the time he realizes that, it was too late by then. If it wasn't for the killing curse, his uncle might not even be dead. It's just a story of a 15-year-old who was wishing his uncle was dead, and unfortunately had a spell that could act upon that thought of death. It's just a story of a 15-year-old who was raised by not his parents, but conditions around him. It's just a story of a 15-year-old who was product of the situations around him. It's just a story of a naive and reckless 15-year-old who had possession of a weapon which should have been far away from his reach. It's just a tragic story of Sebastian Saller, and as promised, I will tell you who actually cursed Anne. Watch this scene carefully.
Suddenly, an icy voice drifted out from somewhere in the smoke. Children should be seen and not heard. A blinding blast followed. They didn't even give her a chance to run.
Now watch this scene carefully.
The arrogance. Should have known better than to try and reason with a child. I've always said, children should be seen and not heard.
Yes, it's Victor Rookwood who actually cursed Anne. Hope you enjoyed the video. Again, these videos take a lot of effort, so if you liked the video, please leave down a like and subscribe if you haven't. Anyways, if you're wondering if Isadora was evil or not, check this video. Or if you're interested in a big plot hole in the story and how everyone just simply ignored it, click this video. Thanks for watching. Peace out.